so that Nigel can spend it wisely. So on these cooking hot days, we this morning, because I have a fair amount I'd like to get through, but we can cut it short anyway. People know I'm coming and don't come. I've called this message Cracking the Code. My thoughts have been drawn to this popular psalm, Psalm 91, which Mark read. Expose at least some of what we find in there, the secret place. To disclose divine possibilities so plentiful that we cannot escape understanding the depth. If we look, we have days of dazzle. Those are the days where there's good moments of connection, beauty, unscripted blessings, you know, the seek for those all too rare cameos of life. Yeah? And they are rare. It allows us to focus on good stuff only, and the other stuff is out of vision. Firstly, elusive dream of perpetual perfection in exchange for surrendering your life, demanding your money, your mind to massage their. Anybody know any churches like that? I know a few. Yes. And references in this psalm are singular. And for one person. Now, depending what you read for an individual, and that individual could be Solomon, it's not quite in context that the psalm was written. Stay with me. Conclusion. Right at the start. And it says, whoever chooses to stay in the secret place, he who dwells, it says in the AV, but I love the NIV translation. Whoever chooses to dwell in the secret place, to live in the secret place, we need to know that it's not a choice that we can make lightly. Graham Kendrick wrote an incredibly, fire a dart, you first must bend the bow. Does anybody know what the stuff in our faith that is painful? And some places you can only want to be champions. So all of us want to be in showcase relationships, and that's not all conquering. We're not all together all the time. You know what encourages broken people just like me, just like you? The triumphalism of God's conditional promise only to two verses. One, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High, the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom. Is that this collection of words will find a contextual truth that drills and ponder. I don't need to make any decisions. Can you remember in 2019 we all learnt the harsh realities of then a new media, and my wife, bless her, she shared it with me. She was a nurse and she's not been the same since, but I still love her. The stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys. The websites were filled with them, and it was filled with ministers as well, especially in America. The internet was awash with place. Yeah. And that's what I want to share a little bit with you this morning. I'm going to put this on the floor. Psalm 91. He that, or whoever, dwells in... Why is this psalm so endearing to the church? And there are people who say it's at least as popular. Anyone who wants to live in the favour of protection. And yet, it seems that this psalm is saying we can get there. And I made a choice, and I had my hair cut when I married my first wife. It up in a bun. Do anything you want with it, but don't go to the barbers. It's a terrible place to be. The evidence, I'd suggest, what happened to me is probably post-Old Testament characters, Joshua and Caleb. They were two of the 12 spies who went out to the Promised Land. They're really hostile people. And there were two others, these two characters, the land. And we read in Numbers 14:24 that it says they translates as they had a different attitude. Our will, the journey of the secret place. My job here today is to try and compel all of us, but there's no great revelation in that, is there? It's a choice. It's a decision, not easy. And staying with that choice. My camper van. I attend a Methodist church, protected, and they were saying that on a Sunday you can't do your washing, you can't go shopping. I sat there quietly and I thought, I'm sick of this. Isn't every day supposed to just do something remarkable to stop all this kind of religious stuff? So I have to choose to be good. Goodness me. You looked at me and they were absolutely horrified. But I think probably most of you, because you look guilty. Jessica Rabbit, who framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. She said something remarkable. She said that we're all a bit like that. Yeah. And come hell or high water, chooses. But it's not just choosing, it's staying. It's for over 30 years. The benefits of doing the right thing inspires me to embrace the love of God and His crown. That is for good and bad days. Hang in there. The Hebrew word for dwells or lives in this secret place. The best way I can explain is to stake a claim. It's like put and you stay there. I invited a minister, and he was people, and the immense outpouring. And after about 3 minutes, I was thinking, Genesis 32:22. There's a story as it unfolds. The text also refers to this man as God and an angel. It said his hip was injured. People who counter God in the secret place. Believer, be the Satan again. I'm not the Apostle Paul. I shall live by faith in the Son of God. I'm not there. Christ all of the time. But I'm not there. My humanness. You see, within us, Paul also wrote, didn't he? Of how, and the flesh will push us away from the secret place. The spirit will in a secret place. Tears invade me unbidden. It's really embarrassing. It could be a kindness. It could be a collection of words. It could be the love of my wife. I came to realise it's very different to having a denominational Jesus. By the churches that we attend. My wife has got a... I attended the zoo. Jesus, really, until we encounter him in the secret place. Being concealed by the cloud of glory of God. Secret and placed together. And the term is Seta Sithra, not that I know anything. It refers to a shelter of protection. Secrets are hidden, aren't they? My simple logic assumes then that this secret must be hard to find. The secret things belong to the Lord God. That refers to a hidden future, that we may do all the words of the law. In other words, that we read. The mystery of the place. One of the most famous stories in the book of Genesis is about Jacob down a ladder. And the narrative here begins with a word in Genesis. It says, and that place had two meanings. A physical place. And if I was reading from the Torah this morning, script of Jewish scriptures, it would tell me that's accessible to all people in all places. I'm there. Yeah?
Yeah.
We potentially can live under his shadow in perpetual conflict. Who say they know Jesus. No, they don't. They know the extent of his grace and mercy. And it will only be when we meet him. That if you link secret and place together, it paints an imagery. I love the idea. It is so pictorial and we lose it in our translation. But when you link those things, and in Proverbs we find, your name is a strong tower, the righteous run in shadows. In the shadow. Isn't our God the one of light? Absolutely. But the minor glory of God would descend and envelope the tabernacle. God's presence, choices often define our lives, but not all choices, because sometimes we lose that privilege of having to, make a decision. These seasons, this is where the shadow analogy really comes into its own. And she has helped many Jews escape. Her name was Corrie ten Boom. And she was there because she helped dozens of Jews, and she died there. But miraculously, Corrie was released. She became a writer and public speaker while she was there. Now, I'm not downgrading the hard times of all people that are around us. But she wrote this of God not being around. I believe there is a place we can become and affirm his nearness, that he is near. His unwavering presence. And this is a jewel. This is a place where we choose to run away from it often. Why? Because I'm human. Anyway, my faith is earth in the reality relationship, the mysteries of divine delays, the imperfections of humanity. Recently, I went fishing with an old friend of mine. I'm over in the UK, can we go and hunt some trout? I said, great idea. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. We spent the whole of that time just talking about how but our God had been faithful to us. We hadn't had any fish, but God had fed us. Yeah. It has been God's richness in the lives that we have. Joy. And we find it to be in that secret place. What about the bachelor? Oh, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler, entrapment. That metaphor for overwhelming calamity. He shall keep your shield and buckler. Useless, nor for the arrow that flies by. Nor for the pestilence that walked in darkness. The phrase can literally be interpreted representing, any unseen. 1,000 shall fall at your right. The imagery of war. You know, I know a couple, and they were both godly souls. Read over them, or they would have prayed it, but they died. When rubbish comes, it does two things. To run away. That's right. Amen. Amen. First one. My wife Jill cared for her. 8 years struggling. She got a matron's job at the time, and she said, I'm happy. I was at that time making a transition between working as a nursing and care homes, or exactly at one nursing home, the others were care homes. What a kind soul she is. And there was a loveliness about the home that she used to have. So you can do the garden if you want. And I was sort of joking really, but she came on 16 years. She had not a penny. Esther. I tell you what, I had a church full of fixers. And they used to tell me all sort of crazy stuff. He's got a black coat. And someone who will care of God and the faithfulness of God in our suffering. She did just that. In fact, she did it so well that when we finally lost her, it was God's amazing provision. It was. And there was no insurance on our house because we'd had a flood and we'd been put on a stop list. And I say that kindly because she was released. It was completely wrecked. Both Jill felt and I felt. And she stopped looking after Jill because she'd gone, but she carried on looking after her. I had to choose. What do I do? What do I No great spiritual answer, I'm sorry. It wasn't because I was walking close to Jesus. Where else can we find the words of eternal life? The bad stuff. I haven't got any answers for you. And it happens. Know this, that we need to be people. He's my God. Amen. And I will trust him. I've really contracted and edited down, but that's fine. Because a lot, and it's kind of living in that secret place, living in a day when I am not grateful